Hello friends and welcome back to our homestead. I am realizing that my holy basil, my basil dried leaf tea is running low, very low. As a matter of fact, it's not going to be enough for me for this upcoming winter months. I need to replenish it. So I have decided to go into my garden and I have basil growing in pots. I find it that it's easiest way for me to actually grow it in large pots by the greenhouse. And I decided to go and just cut it all down. It's the end of the season anyway. Some of it went into flower, some of it already going into seed. Doesn't matter. I am cutting it all down and I'm going to be preserving it to make homemade medicine. So you guys know that I love to preserve it in two ways. My homemade remedies, my medicines. One is by making a tincture, and I have everything ready here to make a tincture. And of course, I always recycle glass jars. This is from mayonnaise, because I also realized that this is my tincture bottle, and I have probably less than one third of the holy basil left. I made this back in 2019. Tinctures that are made with 100 proof vodka or high alcohol content tinctures, these infusions. Buddy, what are you doing? Please don't bite any bugs. Don't eat any bugs, buddy. My dog. Tinctures last a very long time. I mean a long time. So this one is now 6 years old, and I can tell you it is just as effective as the year I made it, because tinctures based on vodka really don't go bad. So I made myself a little tea here. It's infusing because basil, holy basil, basil tea is one of those things to drink after a stressful day. Come out on your porch, breathe in a little fresh air, unwind. Better than drinking a glass of wine, and I'm not kidding. This tea will do me more good as far as the relaxation than a glass of wine at the end of the day, okay? Because it's a wonderful adaptogen, but I am jumping ahead. So let me show you the things I'm going to be doing today with this basil, and I'm going to explain to you why I'm choosing to use 3 types of basil in here. I have common Italian basil, the one that we usually see in pesto. I have holy basil, which is Tulsi, and I have a little bit, very little, just few branches of Thai basil. Okay, I didn't grow anything else this year, but usually I grow many different varieties, and I love all of them. And this year, I'm actually going to be mixing them all together in my home remedies. Okay, I think this tea has been steeping now for about 10 minutes. I think it's good. Let's give it a taste. It's mild, very fragrant. Very mild tea. I love it. Oh, so good. Okay, so I like to read herbal books, and this one in particular is called Encyclopedia of Herbal Medicine, and it's an older book, but you know what, listen, herbal knowledge does not change. If anything, it gets richer with generations. So it talks about sweet basil, medicinal actions and uses. It talks about how it's primarily used on the digestive and nervous system, easing flatulence, stomach cramps, colic, and indigestion. It may be used to prevent or relieve nausea and vomiting, and helps to kill intestinal worms. Sweet basil has a mild sedative action, providing useful in treating nervous irritability, depression, anxiety, and difficulty in sleeping. It may also be taken for epilepsy, migraine, and whooping cough. The herb has been traditionally taken to increase breast milk production. Applied externally, sweet basil leaves acts as an insect repellent, and juice from leaves brings relief to insect bites. Sweet basil has an established antibacterial action. All right, so I'm also reading from this book. It's called Grow Your Own Herbal Remedies. This is by Maria Noel Groves. She writes about holy basil. It acts on which which body systems? It acts on nervous system, adrenal, mood, blood sugar regulation, cognitive, brain, inflammation, pain, immune, digestive, cardiovascular, and antimicrobial. Yes, holy basil and the related family members such as Thai basil and the common Italian basil, they all have similar properties. So that is why I've decided to mix them all together. First of all, it's going to add to the flavor and fragrance of my home remedies, but also I think it's going to mix the medicinal benefits as well. When I mentioned to you that drinking this tea at the end of the day is way better than having a glass of wine, I'm not kidding, because it reduces that stress. It promotes natural relaxation, gives you that nice ease, helps you to relax and fall asleep. But at the same time, it boosts your brain not activity, but almost like it's a little boost to your memory and to your brain. So that is why I'm going to be preserving this tea, these leaves for the tea, but also because it has natural anti-inflammatory property. For someone who struggles with autoimmune conditions and inflammation is my middle name, I always have to keep in mind that whatever herbs I use for my body, for my health, they have to be supporting my conditions that I have. So inflammation, I need to reduce it. I need to reduce that inflammation in any way, shape, or form, not just by nutrition, but also with herbs. And that is why I'm going to be working on this holy basil. Okay, so today I'm going to be preserving this in two ways. You know me, I love to make a tincture, and I'm going to be drying them for tea. And you also know me that I don't like to measure anything. So I'm going to continue making my tinctures the folk method. The folk method basically means that I'm not going to be measuring anything. And that's what I'm going to be not measuring. Normally, we're supposed to be using the aerial parts. Only means that the tops of the flowers, of the plant, not the root. So today I'm going to be using the leaves, I'm going to be using the stems, and I'm going to be using the flowers. I'm going to be using all of it. So as always, I like to, where are my scissors? Right here. I like to take a glass vessel and I always recycle everything. And I'm just going to be cutting it right into the, making a mess a little bit, but it's okay. This is why I work outdoors on the porch. The season is coming to an end. It's already autumn. And I know that in a short couple of weeks, we may start having first frost. And this is a very sensitive plant. It will freeze. So I know that my tomato sauce preservation is coming to an end. I'm not going to be needing any more of basil. So the rest is going to go towards making the medicine. So I'm just taking the stems and the leaves and the flowers and I'm just chopping them into smaller chunks, okay? I'm not really being very careful how small I'm cutting them. I'm just cutting them up, okay? And like I said, I'm going to be measuring different types of, different kind of basil to make my medicine because I know they have very similar properties. They're all high in vitamin K, which is important for clotting factor, okay? They all have high amounts of manganese, okay? So I'm just going to be cutting this all up. I am really going after reducing inflammation. The other important property that basil has is not just the aroma that is relaxing you. It's the aroma that just hits your nose so strongly. Also, it's important as an antioxidant. We forget that our bodies are highly exposed to many different stressors. And I'm not just talking about the emotional stress, okay? Even though we have plenty of that in today's world, plenty of emotional stress. But also we have to keep in mind that we are exposed to toxins, things that we have no control over or very little control over, okay? Our bodies are continuously busy detoxifying. So an antioxidant such as basil is a natural method of mopping up the oxidative stress, okay, and removing it from our bodies. And that is why I like to use basil, okay? As I mentioned already, it has an antibacterial property. So anytime anyone who is dealing with a secondary infection after flu or after having a cold, I always utilize tincture, okay? Always utilizing tincture. It's much stronger than tea, and you can use as much as 1 dropper or 2 droppers 2 to 3 times a day. When someone is ill, I use it higher. I use it, of course, this is not medical advice, so please use this as education. When somebody in my family is sick, I use holy basil tincture 3 to 4 times a day, and I use 1 to 2 dropperfuls, okay? Of course, they are, always contraindications and so on and so forth. For example, one of them is that holy basil can lower blood sugar, which is not a bad thing. However, if somebody who's taking a prescriptive medication, you got to be careful. Your blood sugar may go down a little bit. I'm just going to push this down a little bit because it's a very fresh, bulky plant material. It takes up a lot of space in my jar, okay? Now, this is not for sale. This is only for our homestead. We use this at home. I welcome you all to also learn how to make home remedies with basic herbs that grow right in your backyard, that you make pesto and put it to your tomato sauce. Have you ever done iced tea with basil? Oh, so delicious. Just bruise it a little bit, bruise it. Pour boiling water over it. Let it steep for a while until the water cools off. Add a little bit of honey for flavor. And add ice. Oh my goodness, it's so good. So good. And you just enjoy that in the evening after a stressful day, coming home after work. All right, so I'm going to add a little bit more. So this one went into seed, and you know what? I'm also going to use it. Okay? I know somebody's going to say, don't use it, Lilia. No, I'm using it. I'm going to use the flowers, the stems, the whole thing. Okay, so I'm, again, just chopping it all up. Okay, so this jar is almost full, and I'm going to be now topping everything off with 100 proof vodka. I'm push this out of the way. All right, I'm just going to push this down. It's about 3/4 of the way up. Okay, that's what I always do. I don't measure anything. And this is 100 proof vodka, meaning that it has 50% alcohol and 50% water. And it's going to be perfect to make tincture with the fresh plant material. I always use glass container. Okay, let me shake it a little bit, making sure that every nook and cranny is covered inside. Okay, I'm going to add a little bit more, making sure that the liquid is all the way to the top of the jar. Okay, now I'm going to put a lid on. I'm going to put a label on when I made it and when it's time to strain it. First week, I'm going to come to this jar and I'm going to shake it a couple of times a day. But then I'm going to keep it in a dark closet away from the sunlight. I'm going to shake it maybe once a week, if I remember, maybe twice a week. And then at the end of 6 to 8 weeks, about 6 or 8 weeks, which is about 2 months really, I'm going to strain it, either putting it through a press or using a cheesecloth where you strain everything and squeeze everything out of it. And then it's stored in dark amber bottles, just like this. with the label, and then we use this in drops. Like I said, I use usually 1 to 2 full droppers, which is about 15 to 30 drops, 3 to 4 times a day. Okay, that's what I do. Or use it as needed. But again, don't take this as a prescription and don't take it as a medical advice. You should always talk to your doctor, because just in case there's a contraindication for you if you're taking some sort of medications. Okay, so let me put a label on it, and this is ready to go. The tincture is ready. And then the rest I'm going to be cutting up to make tea out of it. But for tea, I'm not going to be using the stems, because the stems don't work very well for some reason, at least in my opinion. So I'm going to be using my dehydrating trays. Okay, these are the dehydrating trays. And everything is going to go right on a tray. Okay, I'm just going to strip all these leaves. Okay, and they're going to go on a tray, and I'm going to put it on the lowest setting in the dehydrator. It has actually a setting that says for herbs. It's the lowest setting because we don't want them to get cooked. We want them to get dried, okay? So I'm going to take all these leaves off, and it's going to be wonderful to make tea later on in the winter months. As a matter of fact, holy basil is okay to be used in a small amounts every day. Every day, okay? I will make a cup of tea every day. Sometimes I even include it in my mix of daily tea that I make, okay? I'm going to be scraping off this flower pods as well. Oh, it smells heavenly on my porch. Oh, I wish you guys could smell it. It's so, so good. So good. Okay? I often use it in a combination with red raspberry leaf, with lemon balm, with mint. Okay, this is wonderful. All right, the stems I'm not going to use because they don't dry very well, and then they just create a lot of bulk, and I don't like them for tea. If this was a very young, fresh plant, maybe I would have saved some of it, but it's kind of end of the season, so the stems are not very pliable anymore. They're kind of woody. All right, so I'm just gonna put this in a single layer on these trays, and these trays are gonna go into the dehydrator. And then it's probably gonna dehydrate overnight for about 12 hours, and then in the morning I'll check on it, and I will store it in my jar just like this. Again, away from the sunlight, because it's best to be protected away from the sunlight. The dried leaf herb is not good after 2 years. After 2 years, it's pretty much needs to be discarded. This is why I need to replace it. So friends, I hope you are encouraged to look into basil. Yes, even the common basil. It is so good to fight against inflammation, against the joint pain, the aches and pain. Helps you to relax, helps you to detoxify your body, helps you to remove all the free radicals from your body. Friends, we are surrounded with God-given medicine. Let's use it. Let's use it. Let's learn about it. Get yourself a couple of good books, okay? You don't need a lot, but a couple of good books are good. If you're interested, I can leave the link in the description box where I got it from, and start using it for your family. Basil is so delicious, and not just in your tomato sauce, but also in your cup of tea. On this note, friends, I hope you are encouraged. I hope you're encouraged to learn more about herbs, because this is what God intended for us to be used as medicine. So be encouraged and try something new.